Positive vibrations on the morning vibes.
Hey, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling irate. Let's go. Come on. I'm in the mood. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling irate. You got no time to be feeling rude.
There you go.
Shout out to our guests in studio. Of course, to my right, we've got External Affairs South Sudan National Union and anaitwa Beng Khomboor. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. It's good to have you here.
Yep.
Straight out of South Sudan into the 254. And then on my left, extreme left, because I'm Kevin Amejazai left. Eh? On my extreme left, you got CEO of NYC.
CEO.
National, of course, Youth Council. Anaitwa nani? Roy Sasaka. Welcome back.
Thank you so much.
No, unapenda studio yetu.
Sana.
This is the third time or the second time?
This is the second time.
Second time, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We had a conversation, I think it was time for... I forgot, just recently actually.
Yes, we were talking about economic empowerment for young people.
For young
It
people.
was almost like a panel over here.
Yes, and they actually do some amazing things with the British High Commissioner.
Yes, exactly.
So good stuff. It's good to have you back here. Bang!
Yeah.
How do people say hi in South Sudan?
Salam alaikum.
Okay, that's.
I thought something.
Hakuna
That-
ingine.
short and sharp.
There are some locals.
So you
also.
give us a local one.
You are local.
Yeah.
We're national now.
Yeah.
We are on a national floor.
Me, I want to
We
meet
are on
a
a
South
national-
Sudan guy and I want to be like...
Celebrate
If I
diversity.
say Salam alaikum, he just knows that.
Yeah.
I don't know much.
Give us something local.
Well, locals.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that will be on mine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe you just said Male.
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 Which language is that?
That is a Noor language.
Nor.
Nor.
Yeah. Which is the biggest? Is it the biggest tribe? Here's the crazy part, yeah?
Yeah.
We're talking to, you're talking to a lot of Kenyans.
Yes,
who, the only thing we know about South Sudan is that there's a lot in Kenya.
That's true.
And then we know conflict, and then that's it. A lot of people don't know much. So I usually think kwanza na language especially, kitu yani ina ku connect ni fiti sana. Yeah.
That's true.
How long have you been in Kenya?
Well, this is my second day in Kenya.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you like it?
I like it.
The weather?
I want to remain here.
Yeah.
You want to stay here, yeah? Permanently,
Yeah.
yeah? So it's your first time visiting Kenya?
No, not my first time.
Okay.
I've been here for some time.
Yeah.
And the last time I was here, I was in a campus. Yes.
In campus?
In
a
Kenya.
campus?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the last time. And then I went back to Juba, to South Sudan
Juba.
for works.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so since then I've been on, in, off, like that. Coming to Kenya maybe once in a while and then...
Nice.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I have friends in Juba, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're doing amazing things. Rafiki yangu anafanya huko karate. He teaches karate classes.
Oh.
Yo.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you imagine someone
You're out
who's
here.
like 7 foot doing karate?
Jesus
That
Christ.
is unfair. I'm sorry. You can imagine that guy going to a karate championship somewhere in Japan.
With the
Good point, man.
Your friend needs to stop giving unfair advantages.
That's crazy, man. Yeah.
My experience of South Sudan is I
Yeah.
think I passed by there. Well, I stayed there for about three days.
Okay.
And I love it. I love the people.
Yeah.
The
Alright.
weather, not so much.
Yeah.
And that's the time you were building the airport.
Okay.
So it used to be this team thing.
Yeah.
I have never felt heat like that in my entire life.
When was that?
I felt like I was being abused by the sun. It was bad. But that is a very fond memory that I have.
It's a sauna, man.
Yeah.
Pay for it.
Not abuse.
The evening was nice and cool. I loved it, and there are lots of Kenyans there.
Yeah,
but
there are
that's not the reason why we're here to
Yeah,
talk. Today we want to talk about, of course, International Peace Day. Now, on a National Youth Council, this is something that's so important to National Youth Council. Why?
This is very important to us because sometimes we learn from our history.
Yeah.
We learn from what has happened before and the time we are living in.
Yeah.
And as a generation, what kind of a cause we want to deliver for this generation.
Right.
Because previously, when we look at our country, we've always had challenges when it comes to, we are nearing electioneering period.
Yeah.
We have seen in 2007, 2013, there's always some challenges during and after the election.
Yeah.
True.
So we said, said, why can't we use this period to bring about change, to bring a change in mindset?
Yeah.
Because when you look at issues of peace, I think when you look at the numbers of young people that we have, the social media platforms that we have, we can bring about a peaceful electioneering period and a sustainable peace. So that is the kind of advocacy we want to push as National Youth Council. Of course, together with Vibes Radio.
You know how we go.
You know what it is. Guys, kumbuka tunaongea juu mambo ya money, and it's all fun and games, but the big question, of course, Kenyans talk, if there's one word that I feel like is most abused in this country, is sisi tunataka money. Sisi tunataka money. And when someone tells you, it's like someone saying, if you're like seated somewhere and they say sisi hataki vita, it's like, okay.
Okay.
Kwani vita inakuja, it's like you're almost preempting, and I feel especially during things like elections, politicians use that word peace, as like, do you want war?
Yes, like there's an option.
Then let
war.
me give you peace. And it's
yes.
like, but we are peaceful.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what scenarios do Kenyans find themselves in unpeaceful? And I know it's not only in elections, but I want us to come back and talk about what are some of those scenarios that could really take away peace from Kenyans. And I want also to hear from Kenyans. Guys, remember to use the hashtag Kwambox and Kev. Na mwelekeo ni amani, hashtag mwelekeo ni amani, hashtag International Peace Day. And if you feel like you're a peace ambassador, usikose kutumia hashtag peace ambassador.
Positive vibrations on the morning vibes.
There you go.
Karibu sana. We are having that conversation on International Day of Peace. And before we took the break, I asked guys, what are those scenarios that, Kenyans find themselves without peace? Nini, what happens for Kenyans to find themselves without peace? Roy, you mentioned, elections. What imagine someone who's never been in this country. Let's break it down. What leads Kenyans in an election not to have peace?
I think from me is how young people, one thing I know is that young people, we are not coming out to vie for those positions.
Wow.
And we are not coming out to vote for our own representative in those positions.
Right.
Yeah.
Then that also leaves a gap where now the people who are interested in that position have to come up with the mechanism to scare young people and to show that they are actually the solution providers and not only offering the real solution but hypothetical solutions.
Yeah.
And that is when now you are used as young people to bring about chaos. And to this, it is not to the benefit of the young people, but the politicians themselves. And they do this in a tokenistic way. They give young people, they sponsor young people to bring about chaos so that they look like they are providing a solution. And I think that is the high time, especially in young people being used wrongly during election. We want to say young people can do much better.
Can do better.
We can instead go for those positions and mobilize other young people to vote for us so that we can be the peace ambassadors in those leadership positions.
But let me ask you something, Roy, because if you look at the Kenyan Constitution, especially chapter 6, wanasema leadership and integrity, right?
Yeah.
Why is it so normal for us to elect people with questionable characters? Tumeona hata a fugitive being governors. People who come from criminal backgrounds.
I mean,
and we cheer them on. Some of them even get massive votes.
Right now as we speak, there's people who are in elected positions who have actual ongoing court cases. Now I know the law says that you're innocent until proven guilty, but I mean, like he mentioned, integrity, and if you've got something going on, it's important that you step aside. Now we've normalized this. We've normalized this.
Why
so
is it the
integrity is
case?
not part of the conversation.
For me, I think it's one of those cultures we need to shed off,
right.
And we will do this by having those peace ambassadors, having all of us discuss about it. Because for a long time we realized that for most time people have been voting on tribal lines, not really looking that yes, you have the qualities, but I want to see who is it that is going, who is related to me to vote for. And when you look at that, it also brings about a crop of leaders who don't champion your interests because they are there for their selfish interests. Because yes, we have institutions, we have very serious institutions. We have ESCC, we have IBC that are supposed to put a process down that will sieve all these challenges we are having in these leaders. But beyond those institutions, there still gaps exist, and those gaps can only be addressed by us, the young people, are going to vote. Why can't we just say that enough is enough?
Yeah.
We need young leaders. We need leaders who are of integrity, who can actually represent our interests.
Yeah.
And I think when we do that and we make that, it will be a culture shift.
You know, interestingly, another key thing, especially that makes people, of course, have conflict, because not having peace is basically having conflict.
Yeah.
Limited resources, lack of resources.
Obviously.
And you'll notice that as we're going into an election, one of the resources is dangled onto the youth, because we are the largest electorate, is Kazi. Kazi. Because Kazi is a resource, and you are as the leaders should be creating opportunities for people to be able to have employment. Now, it has become a campaign promise in successive elections, you know. For other parts of the country, it is Kazi. In other parts, it's borehole, magic. You know, which is a resource. Which is a resource. Yesterday, we were looking at the front page of one of the dailies. You know, there was two scenarios. One, Kenyans complaining that fuel prices have hiked so crazy, and at the same time, I was giving them a report about Tulo, because, you know, of course, when we talk about oil, they're like, but we had oil. What happened? Tulo said, guys, we don't have the resources, the technology to be able to reach that oil. That same paper had women. This picture you've seen over and over again: drought, no water. And if you check the campaign promise that they had, you know, in the last election, I'm sure someone told them they're going to build them, you know, boreholes. They're going to do all sorts of things. What has been the effect of this drought? Fighting for resources.
Yes.
You know, now you have young people who are fighting for grass, pasture for their animals. So this shortage of resources causes young people, and just people in general, to get into squabbles, and there's no peace in that. You just see what happened in Laikipia recently, right?
Yes.
And it has been politicized. Who is at the center of it? The youth, right? So I like what you said, that hypothetical promises that lead up to nowhere, promising you something that they know you need, and then when it's not there, you're going to fight.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Now, I want to ask Beng, because, you know, South Sudan is one country that has been through a lot, and I like the resilience of the people of South Sudan in rebuilding, especially after years and years of conflict. But a lot of Kenyans don't know what conflict looks like.
Right.
I mean, even when Roy is mentioning 2007 conflict, I mean, some of our listeners were 14, 10, you know, so they didn't really have an experience of that. But what does not having peace look like?
Well, thank you for that question. You know, it's true that Kenya and South Sudan, they have a different experience when it comes to the peace. Because someone in South Sudan, when you tell him about conflict, he will give you a different version on how we see conflict, because of the way the conflict has cost us as a country. And maybe in Kenya here, he will just tell you some minor thing, and that is it. And it's okay, because two countries have a different standing point. For South Sudan, conflict has robbed us with everything. It has robbed us with resources. It has robbed us with development. There are a lot of young people who are not going to school because of the conflict.
Can you imagine?
There is no health because of conflict. You know, generally conflict it has taken almost 60% of our life as a country.
Right.
So it is a bad experience, and it's something that we as the young people are now taking charge and spreading the messages that we should not allow this bad disease to stay with us. It's about time we open a different chapter.
And what are some of the lessons Kenyan youth can learn from over about 20 years of war in South Sudan?
I think it's more than 20 years.
Jesus Christ.
It has
over a
been
million people lives lost, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, I think what Kenyan could learn is the same thing that Kenyan have witnessed in 2007.
Yes.
You know, in 2007, they have seen their small versions of conflict. Yeah. So, but what happened? Everything stopped. Life become difficult. Economics shut down and all this. And I think this is a bad one. It's a bad one. We should not encourage that road.
And now moving forward, by the way, like in the day-to-day lives, especially people in governance, for example, and even the NGOs, all stakeholders, what are some of the practical things that the youth are doing to ensure that there's more peace and that conversation is constantly elevated in South Sudan?
What we are doing currently is to make sure that we come up with activities that bring young people together. For example, if you talk about the sport today, and I have to mention this, you know, if you look at our basketball team, it has been one of the pride.
True.
Everyone is talking about it.
Such an impressive team.
You have seen how we, in a very short period of time, we managed to get that team. And that thing alone is bringing people together.
Right.
Now, if you go to every part of South Sudan, you find people are talking about, wow, how impressive was the game.
Exactly.
You get? It slowly is taking people away. So now we take advantage of that and try to use the basketball so that we can preach peace. We come up with activities like that. We come up with activities like constructing, you know, roads. Helping to open those roads as young people. We want to take charge. We start doing farming as young people. We want to do farming so that we tell them, you know, we have to move away from this culture and have to do a different route. So when we lead by doing the farming, other young people also see.
They see and they get inspired.
Say, okay, and instead of doing something that could harm, why can't I just follow the same route? So small things like this are the things that we are trying to do to make sure that we make that baby steps and hope.
Quick one, by the way. When it comes to opportunities in governance, are young people given these opportunities by the government in important positions? Because in Kenya, it's the same. We can see young individuals like Bonaroy here. Is it the same in South Sudan?
You know, in South Sudan, what we did as the union, South Sudan National Youth Union. Number one is to make sure that we advocate for youth representation in the government, in all level of the government, being nationals up to the state level, up to counties. That is our system. Maybe here it's a bit different. So what we do is we say it in every formations of structures of the government, there must be 20% youth representation in it. This is something we are pushing really, really hard. And it works. Because if you look at currently even our Minister of Youth and Sport in South Sudan is a young person. Through that pushing. The Minister of the person in charge of petroleum is a young person. Through the same pushing. So we decided to come together regardless of our political differences, party differences, and have one common youth agenda.
Now, I know tribe is also, you know, I think one of Africa's biggest problems is tribe, right? And in Kenya, tribe is used as, you never hear about tribe until there's an election. It's so crazy. Like, you know, there's a listener who called and said, there's no doctor who asks you, okay, unataka damu? Okay, tuleta damu ya A positive ya Wakikuyu? Nobody says that. Right? You will take blood from any tribe, right? But when it comes to your political affiliation and especially how you're going to vote, tribe is so key. What are some of the tips that, you know, like, because for the longest time, I thought it was that generation. But I'm seeing it again in this generation. It is being transferred. You know. What would you tell young people who are still tribally affiliated?
Well, I think coming from the tribe, as you said, where I come from is a tribe that currently we have a lot of issues going on with the young people. Some of these young people, they're being used by the leaders so that they could spearhead the agendas. And that is mean you recruit them, they join the military, and then they fight. So this practice has been there. The same thing now to Kenya. The politician will mobilize the young people for their interest. So this has affected us as a country and even as a people. And right now what we are trying to do in it is that we are trying to shut a different route of saying that, look here, I went to school, I know what is happening. The same politician, maybe the children are living in a very good place, you know, a comfortable life. They don't even know what is happening. They are
or even in another country like Kenya.
Even in another country like Kenya. They don't even know about this economic crisis that we are in currently in South Sudan. So why would I follow such a person?
Exactly.
You get? So sometimes it's about reasoning together. We are trying to sit down. Look here. You followed, but you benefit nothing. Or you support, you don't get anything in return. At the end of the day, it's you. It goes down to you. So these are some of the discussion we have as the intellectual youth. People who are trying to read between the line. And I think it's helping.
All right, 20 minutes to 9 a.m. It's an important conversation we're having today on International Peace Day. And I want to throw it to Kenyans. Now, you've heard, from South Sudan. You know, I mean, if you don't know, if you're a young person and you don't know what's been happening in South Sudan, you need to follow that history and see why it's so vital for the youth to take that mantle and say, we want to spearhead a different country. Now, we know we're going into an election. I'm going to throw this one to you guys as we take a break, and we'll come back so you can have a chance to respond. There was an article that was done, I think, about 4 or 5 months ago. Right. And they were talking about how in Kenya right now, as we speak, there are groups that are being, for lack of a better term, militarized.
Militias,
militias that are being set up by potential politicians, which now begs the question, as we're talking about International Peace Day, how do we reach out to this youth? Because, like he said, this has been an ongoing thing in South Sudan where, a leader will militarize some guys and just decide, let's go do some crazy things there. And this youth will work against the same youth. You've seen Jimmy Wanjigi going to campaign somewhere, akitupiwa mawe, and in my head I'm asking, what has this person's talking got to do with your contestant? What's he going to do? So we've got to ask ourselves some serious questions, and I'd love to hear from you, MVPs as well. How can we reach out to this youth? Because we know for a fact there are those ones right now who are being mobilized to do the opposite of what we are all fighting towards, which is a peaceful country.
Positive vibrations on the morning vibes.
Usichoki kuambia watu bana tukubali amani. Mwelekeo ni amani peke yake. And remember, tukikata amani.
Chaos, violence.
Tukikata amani.
No. You can't go down that road.
Where will you go?
Kenya ni moja, utaenda wapi? Utaenda Uganda.
Do you know the crazy part, The crazy part. The other day I was seeing an article. Actually, this week, there's been, I think, last week and this week, there've been a bunch of arrests of Ethiopian immigrants. Right? Yeah. And it's easy for you to look at that article and just go like, Ethiopia, kwani wataki kukaa kwao?
It's about 100.
Wanafaa kushikwa. You should enter this country with a visa. But you don't understand that nobody's trying to leave their country because things are perfect.
Exactly. 100%.
Ethiopia is going through some turmoil right now. And for those people who find it uncomfortable to live, especially in that situation, maybe your life is at risk and you have to find somewhere to run to. Now, when youth hapo, unajua tu yani kuamka, na laitio kikushong peng, na katu hapo na discuss politics, msichana kuja hapa napatia 50 bob na kichangana, wambia chachisha hapa mtu asikae na amani. Naona sema boss, say no more, na kesho kuja na lipengine. Unachachisha, una cause mayhem. Mama yako anaingia kwa hiyo mix, shosho pia, grandfather, kila mtu yani umecause chaos kwa sababu ya tubangire na tuchangana. Na ki 100 bob, hata hizi buy t-shirt, hata hizi buy ngodha mpya mazee. Alafu kidogo hiyo place imekuwa hata mwezi ishi. Sasa umeenda kukua bega kwa country nyingine ama kwa city nyingine. For what? Hii kitu ya peace, we must all embrace it. It's why it's called International Day of Peace. Yani tumechukua siku tumesema this day we're going to address peace. We're going to be peace ambassadors. And if you're listening to me right now, wewe ni shujaa, peace ambassador, na usichoke. And we asked you to send us those special peace messages. Because kasi leo ni siku gani? Kwa nini kesho? Ni leo. Leo
ni ile day.
Mase. Unajua kuna ule boy mwenye anapenda kuleta vurugu hapa kwa nini? Ni message gani utamwambia ndio drop hizo mambo za vurugu? And you've heard from our guest, National Youth Council Chair, CEO anaitwa Roy Sasaka. Ako kwa studio hapa na pia we got Beng Khomboor. I really like your name, by the way.
Thank you very much.
I don't know, I'm just like, this is a really cool
name. South Sudan, by the way.
Am I saying it right, by the way?
You're saying it right.
Thank you.
Beng, yeah?
Beng.
Let me ask you, by the way, quick one, because I see we're running out of time. But Bona CEO, Roy, right? Tumecheki politicians, sahi wamekuja na hii narrative, the haves versus the have-nots, and the have-nots is unasemaje? I have their back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give them a platform to do biashara and nini. But we also have quarters. Certain Kenyans who are concerned about that type of rhetoric. Are you as concerned as well? Wanasema it's very divisive and maybe it's not good, especially for Kenyans right now. It's a very sensitive environment we're living in.
It's a very sensitive environment, and especially now this period. I like what Kwambox has also said. How do we sustain peace?
Yeah.
So that it's not only after the election or or before the election.
Yeah.
And then we look at it. What is it that makes us not have peace? So and what we are doing as National Youth Council is also just to mobilize other like-minded government agencies.
Yeah.
Not only to preach peace, but to provide opportunities for young people.
Yeah.
If we can have affirmative funds, youth enterprise Fund, Women Enterprise Fund, Wezo Fund, giving economic empowerment to our very young people. Because also the politicians tap on the hopelessness of young people.
There you go.
So they take advantage of it, and that is what now leads us into the peace situation that we are talking about.
Yeah.
Because guys, think about it like this, when they say, like, all these politicians, and you who's listening to me right now, when the politician says that they want to provide jobs, that there are people who are have-nots, let's be real, who are have-nots? See, it's youth. As in, you're basically saying, because everybody, I'm not saying that there are no people who are not young, who don't have money, but the largest electorate is the youth. They're the ones who don't have jobs, they're the ones who can't be able to provide for themselves. So basically, you're saying, you might as well say youth versus the others.
Yeah, and it's scary.
Yes. And that is a battle line that has been drawn where now youth feel like, I hear youth saying things like they shouldn't be old leaders. Can you imagine? That's crazy.
People are even burning down cars. Ati wanasema ini gari ya mtu inaenda kama amomoka amegonga mtu wa boda wanachoma. So it's like there's a war.
Between rich and poor, and basically young people and whoever they conceive as the person who's stopping them from getting the resources that they need. So I think it's important that
in Khombox, as also we discuss about this, also our challenge to our very young people.
Okay.
Let's wake up and take up these positions, because at the end of the day, let's not always be talking at the periphery. We are complaining, but Keva pakisimama kiti atumpati sasa tunashangaa nini tunataka. Kwambox hapa akisema anataka kukua huyo the governor, tunasema Kwambox
ana kakiru.
Imagine.
Ana kakiru. Wale wanabonia kiran first morning kiran. I mean, this guy
ana kakiru.
Let me tell you how crazy it is. And I for the life of me don't understand. I find that there are people who really like t-shirts. Me ufanya hizi campaigns, mobs are. These are politics.
Just
grants and things like that. And there are places where if you go with a t-shirt and a kofia, you've made the day of that person. Less so, things like that. What do politicians like? T-shirts, kofias, and lessos. You can't campaign without them. You can't do a campaign in this country without it. And in my head, I'm asking, when will we move from these conversations of what will you give me to what are we going to do?
Exactly.
Issues.
What are we going to, how are we going, because after you've taken that lesso, you've taken that coffee, you've taken that t-shirt, which by the way, you cannot campaign with. They will come to you and say, okay, we hear you. But where's the t-shirt? How will we vote for you without the t-shirt?
Is that the same in South Sudan, by the way?
It's the same thing in South Sudan. What we are actually encouraging right now is that let you think for themselves. We should be the solution to our problem. We should come up with our own plans and we execute it. This issue of looking for someone to come and tell you, I think because you are youth, you need to do this. Sometimes it's misleading.
It's true.
That's
actually
so
true.
it's uncapping you from thinking. So we are encouraging that young people should now start asking tough questions and find solution to those questions. They should not look for someone else to tell them what to do.
Now there's something that Beng you mentioned, which I want to now throw to the gentleman as we wind up and tell them about all the goodies and part of our campaign. You mentioned that as a solution that's working in South Sudan is that you've kept the youth engaged. Keeping them engaged. Now in Kenya, a few of the challenges we have is that there's a lot of drugs on the streets. A lot of youth are finding themselves, idle and taking drugs. Idle, drinking. There are some counties it's so bad that listeners call us to tell us, guys are drunk, it's 6 a.m. Like they went out that morning, not they've been drinking from last night. They've woken up and gone to start drinking. Now you can imagine it's easy to access such youth because all you have to do is just go with the booze and then tell them, go cause mayhem, right? Here's a bit of drugs, go cause mayhem. Here's 50 bob. Go and take a bag of mogoka, and go and, and so let's find out how to employ such strategies. Because I've seen even for ugaidi, terrorism, they're using the arts. If we want to keep the youth engaged ambassadors and be peace ambassadors, we have to find how to engage, especially the ones who are who are vulnerable, because that's what I like to call them. You're vulnerable. If you're only taking drugs and drinking, you're vulnerable to not thinking, which you mentioned. You said you want the youth to think for themselves. How will this youth think for themselves if they are not there?
You're right. Yeah, we have to engage. We have to meaningfully engage young people and also expand opportunities for young people. Not only in leadership, but also economic empowerment opportunities. And that's what we are doing, just to make sure that where these, as we champion the message of peace. Because somebody will ask you, yes, then peace, then what next? And again, not having war is not that you are peaceful. Because there are all other issues that are affecting peace. Even COVID-19 is affecting our peace because we've lost our source of livelihood, and it has brought about issues of mental health challenges amongst the youth, leading them to drugs, what you're saying. So it is very critical for us, all stakeholders. And that's why, just to mention, that even today, we are bringing on together with the NGO Council, we are having a peace forum today at Boma Inn, just bringing all the NGOs that are dealing with peace, economic empowerment, to have this discussion. How do we sustain peace? And we love, as National Youth Council, we love Radio Vibes. And you guys,
we love engaging. Let me ask you something, Roy. Thanks, man. Let me ask you something, Roy. And Sheila, you've watched the documentary Never Again? It talks about the post-election violence. Especially now, there was even a story, a lot of attention in the Kiamba Church situation. I just want to ask generally, right? Do you think we should showcase the consequences of a cycle of violence to Nonesha how to, those pictures and how bad 2007 was? Do you think it can make a difference, maybe?
I think I like what Kwambox was saying, that and Kev, that dimension you're bringing is very critical. That there's some segment of young people
who don't know. True.
Kimwambia 207 mazana shangao.
Wanaanza nini rumor tu.
Ajui hiyo 207 mazili ilikuwaje. Ilikuwa mbaya kabisa. So at some point that could also be a good advocacy campaign to showcase that without peace, this is how we looked like before. Is this a direction we want to take really as a country? Can we then build those peace ambassadors? And I'm happy that Kev here is peace ambassador.
Very dangerous.
And Roy and Beng here. If we can just bring together young people with the same message that we don't want you. For those of us who did not experience it, there is no opportunity for us to wish to experience it. So the only way is that we have to make sure that we are peace ambassadors.
And I think it's important. Yesterday we mentioned that in our country and in the life that we live in right now, we've realized that peace is being robbed even at the basic part. Before we used to think about peace as the country, but now even in the home setting, there's no peace. And guys, this particular day is not to say we don't want conflict. We're saying we want to know how to manage conflict in a peaceful manner. So even today when we're talking about the lady who went and stabbed because the husband, we've seen couples who are having an argument, kidogo, they just decide to end it. It means that as a country, peace is so important to us, especially the conversation around peace is so pertinent now, because in most quarters, whether young or old, we're realizing that people don't know how to handle conflict.
Exactly.
You saw that father who was shikiling a guy who came to collect his timber.
Yes.
What does that tell you? Whether you're young or whether you're old, you've seen the story of the 7-year-old who wanted to stab the colleague. You've seen the ones of the high school who has been told by a teacher something and they said, this is how I'm going to end it. So clearly as a country, we need to embrace peace. And this is what I'll say. In our national anthem, I know that some of you don't even know what it says.
Fortunately.
But I'm going to read you the first stanza, especially in Swahili, because it says, E Mungu nguvu yetu, ilete baraka kwetu. Haki iwe ngao na mlinzi. Haki. Na tukae na undugu. Amani na uhuru. Raha tupate na ustawi. What does that mean? Hatuwezi kuwa na undugu. Hatuwezi kupata raha. Hatuwezi kuwa na uhuru kama hakuna amani. Na guys, siongee juu ya political parties and politicians. Nasema amani, uhuru, mtu uko tu mapati na mapresident. I'm talking about lazima tukae kukana undugu, lazima tukue na amani na amani ikuwe na uhuru. Alafu hizo vitu zikipatana, tutakaa na ile ustawi
bana. Cohesion.
So remember guys, let's continue to preach peace. Hiki to see two elections ni at the basic level. Ukipatana tu na place pali kuna conflict, you be that person who wants to bring peace in that situation.
Tukuna time up closing remarks.
Closing remarks ni mutatumpatia kwa text message.
Kuna closing remarks.
Positive vibrations on the morning vibes.